Ever wonder what is in the textbooks that your children are learning from? I have, and I have looked at several of the ones that my children bring home from school. Have you ever wondered what things they are being taught, and the things that they are being taught about our national history that are being left out because of political correctness? In my searches, I found a book called The Language Police: How Pressure Groups Restrict What Students Learn by Diane Ravitch. One of the stranger recommendations of the Bias and Sensitivity panel involved a true story about a heroic young blind man who hiked to the top of Mount McKinley, the highest peak in North America. The story describes the dangers of hiking up an icy mountain trail, especially for a blind person. The panel voted 12 to 11 to eliminate this inspiring story. First, the majority maintained that the story contained regional bias because it was about hiking and mountain climbing, which favors students who live in regions where those activities are common. Second, they rejected the passage because it suggested the people who are blind are somehow at a disadvantage compared to people who have normal sight, that they are worse off and have a more difficult time facing dangers than those who are not blind. I would have never thought this. You think? Regional bias in this instance means that children should not be expected to read or comprehend stories in an unfamiliar terrain. A story that happened in a desert would be biased against children that have never lived in a desert. And a story set in a tropical climate would be biased against children who have never lived in a tropical climate. See where these so-called experts are leading our children? Consider the impoverishment of imagination that flows from such assumptions. No child should be expected to understand a story set in a locale other than the one that he or she currently lives in, or in a locale that has no distinguishing characteristics. Stupid, huh? These people who do this are supposedly experts, who are supposedly smart, but are not really showing it at all. My question is this: what are we doing to our children? As parents, it behooves me to want to get into my child's things and find out just what the hell they are teaching them in school. To find out and then reteach them so that they know the right things. I have lived over 50 years and I've seen these things get changed by the national media and by the liberals in our government. This is sad to say the least. Can you see what is coming if it isn't already being instituted yet? After hearing what was said here just a few seconds ago, how big of a leap would it be to suddenly have the schools remove the book The Diary of Anne Frank from the schools' libraries just because it is about a young Jewish girl who lived in Germany during the Second World War under Hitler and had to survive the horrors of a Nazi concentration camp, all because she was Jewish? None of our children have ever been in a locale like that. None of our children have ever had to suffer at the hands of Nazi officers who think that they're more than an animal, nothing more than an animal to be tortured and put to death just because the Nazis feel that it needs to be done at the time. That is how stupid they think our children are. And all of these kind of things is happening because of the apathy and contentment of the American people, thinking that the government and the so-called experts out there really do things for our own good. You and I, as parents, know more about raising our kids right than they do, I assure you. You want to hear some of the things that have been banned from our children's textbooks in school? Some of these are ludicrous, to say the least. Here we go. Founding Fathers. This has been banned as sexist, replaced with founders or framers, because we would not want to note that the men who wrote the documents that founded this nation were in fact men. Caveman. This has been banned as sexist, to be replaced with cave dweller. Kind of makes you wonder if the Geico cave dweller feels better about himself now. I kind of doubt it. Disadvantaged. Banned and replaced with reference to the resources or rights that are absent in an individual's life circumstances. For example, Dave cannot sing because of resources that are absent in his individual life circumstances. It's like coming out and saying, Dave, you sing horribly, you have no talent for it. But we can't say that. Courageous. Banned as patronizing when referring to persons with disabilities. And you know, some of the most courageous people that I have ever known are those who are disabled. I really do not get that one. God, banned for being, now steady yourself now here, too religious, you think? Makes me want to just give up. If the experts don't think we can handle that one, then God take me away. How about this one? Teenager, banned and replaced with adolescent. I was all for banning teenagers at various times in my household, especially when they acted like lunatics. Now, people, we are destroying not only this nation with the leaders that we have, but our children with the experts that we listen to. We better get this straight before we lose both. We better start watching and stopping what is going on. To help you understand what the liberals do to us and the way we think, here is something that I read from a blog of a good friend of mine called Poor Girls Zone. This tells it like it is. The way that we are being taught to think and the way that we are allowing them to manipulate how we think. Here is what she says. My, how opinions change. When George Bush was president, liberals didn't hesitate to call him every vile name in the book. Now that they have the power, they are outraged at any dissent from their Messiah's policies. Can you say hypocrites? I knew you could. The reactions of the Democrats to many Americans' anger over Obamacare is downright shameful and frightening. I have never seen in my life a national party actively try to discourage and discredit opposition to its policies. It's one thing for bloggers, columnists, or talking heads to opine on and even diss their ideological opponents, but when actual members of government do it, it's different. It's nothing more than alarming. How dare you Democrats chastise us citizens for speaking our minds? Let me explain something to you people. The Constitution guarantees freedom of speech to all Americans, not just those on the left. You senators, representatives, and presidents are sent to Washington to do the will of us, the people. You are not sent there to impose your will on us. Speaking our minds and making our opinions known on the issues of the day isn't only a constitutional right, it's also a duty of citizenship. And part of your duty as our public servants is to listen to, not disparage our opinions. The smear campaign against opponents of Obama's health care reform is appalling. During the Bush administration, liberals shrilly insisted that dissent was the highest form of patriotism. Remember that shrill shout from Hillary? But now that their golden boy is in office, criticism of the president and or his policies is suddenly illegitimate. I'm shocked almost beyond words at liberals' stunning reversal of their admiration for dissent. Oppose Bush and you're a patriot. Oppose Obama and you're a racist, un-American, unruly mob, or just a plain stupid GOP tool. Give me a break. It's time liberals in and out of government accepted the fact that they don't own the right to criticize. Their Messiah and everything he does aren't off limits to dissent. Smarmy efforts to delegitimize Obama's critics expose a mile-wide fascist streak running through the left side of the political aisle. Surprise, surprise. The fight against Obamacare is shaping up to be a fight for the right to free speech for all. Being an angry mob is our American right. If Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, and Obama himself are upset, then they're living in the wrong country. They should catch the next plane to Venezuela or Cuba, where only the left can speak safely. I'm sure they'll feel completely at home there. This was posted on my friend Sian Anna's blog, Poor Girls Zone, on August 5th of 2009. And my friends, she has it completely right. Now, do you feel better? I hope not, because we as Americans are totally losing this country to the whims of people who do not care for us at all. Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, and the others in Washington who will not stand up for what is right because it may hurt their careers, in the past would have been replaced. And by all rights they should be, because they are wrong and need to be stopped to save this country from the so-called experts there who are there to supposedly protect our children, to the government officials who are instituting nothing more than communism into our nation. We are in trouble. Trouble that Ronald Reagan talked about in a speech back in 1961. If you want to hear the speech, go to my blog at WiseConservatismVideosidechat and give it a listen. It is chilling to hear. What he said then could be changed only to include the names of congressmen today, and it would be like Reagan was talking to Obama and Reid and Pelosi and the lot there on Capitol Hill. God help us all. Since we on the conservative right have now been labeled as the unruly mob, I say we all take on mobster-type names like Sean Hannity suggested. I have mine. This is Robert the Infidel Guarding with this edition of Wise Conservatism's Videoside Chat. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and God bless America, her troops, and you. Until next time, good day.